We're winning in court. More than a dozen federal injunctions and temporary restraining orders have been issued against everything from their illegal seizure of computer data to their illegal attempt to ban birthright citizenship.
Number one, you know the Constitution. You know they can't just freeze these funds.
This DOGE, I call it the Department of Government Inefficiencies, is causing a reign of terror, chaos across the federal government.
Y'all keep hating on the Department of Government Efficiency if you want to, but I'm going to explain exactly why we need them. Elon Musk and the guys from DOGE have just figured out that over 1.3 million people aged 150 to 159 are receiving Social Security checks. Now, obviously, that is impossible, but the numbers get more staggering than that. There's about 10 million people, possibly far greater than that are over 100 years old that are receiving Social Security checks in the United States. That seems absolutely impossible. The numbers go all the way up to 360 years old. Now, something fishy is going on. I'm not just going to accuse them of money laundering, but something is going on. Where is the money going? Let's get into that. Tim Burchett, he's going to explain some more of what the guys from DOGE are uncovering and why this is all so significant. Let's jump into it.
Really trying to hone in on where we can make some cuts. It would appear to me, and maybe you feel the same, there is plenty of fat on that steak that we can trim.
Yes, sir. I was just, a lot of it's just right there in front of us. We've got I think, a very dynamic director of HUD now, and he's found, I believe, almost $1.9 billion that was misplaced under the previous administration. I think you're going to see these so-called accounting errors throughout government because there has been no oversight whatsoever. And if you look in the classifieds today in Washington, D.C., people are selling their homes, they're realizing. And the number one search out of the Washington, D.C. area, oddly enough, is criminal attorneys. So I think there's a lot going on. I think DOGE is happening. The president is right. He is correct. The Democrats are chasing their tail right now because all they can do is attack Elon Musk and these young folks. And I always point to these guns behind me as they make fun of these 20, 21-year-old kids, so-called kids. My dad was 20 or 21 years old when he took those off of dead Japanese soldiers that he killed in combat to save this world, the greatest generation. So, and all these so-called kids that we tend to demean are actually heroes.
Yeah, no question about that. And listen, I don't know. There are a couple ways I want to go with this conversation, but before we get into some of the specifics about what we may learn about DOGE moving forward, can you understand, Congressman, why there are so many Americans that are absolutely disgusted by some of the waste, fraud, and abuse? And I guess the second part of that question is, how did this happen? How did we end up where we are?
Well, that's an excellent question. And when you see people here in Tennessee paying 50% of their income to state, federal, and local taxes through through everything else, fees and everything else, and then they see us sending literally billions overseas to our enemies. I've uncovered $40 million going to the Taliban. A guy named Sean Ryan over in Middle Tennessee, former Navy SEAL, podcaster. He and another guy named Legend had brought this to my attention. And, last term, I could not even get the Democrats to bring it up in the Senate. It passed unanimous in the House, not even a question, because they're going to have to admit they made a mistake. And they've continuously made a mistake, and they did it on purpose, is the worst part about it. And this graph that you're seeing, and that's 100% what it is. Yeah. I think you're going to see a paper trail come back to Washington, D.C., and that's why I think a lot of people are nervous, and you'll see a lot of retirements because they are stealing from the American taxpayer, and now they've got their hand caught in the cookie jar, and all they can do is attack Elon Musk.
Well, thank you for calling it what it is. This is stealing, plain and simple. There has been a massive theft of the resources that the American people entrusted leaders in Congress to hang on to and to distribute on their behalf. And a lot of that money, frankly, was stolen. Let me share this real quick. I want to get your reaction before we wrap up. This is Democratic Senator Jack Reed. He claims that DOGE cuts are more or less being used to bail out the president's tax policies. Listen to this. I'll get your reaction on the other side.
They just are looking for money for one reason, a tax cut. They want to fund a huge tax cut for the wealthiest Americans, and they will disparage all other Americans. They don't care. because they're going to take the money and run.
He says they're going to take the money and run, but I think most taxpayers feel like, listen, if I can get some of my tax money back, that's a pretty good idea. What say you?
It's a great idea. And this is just a talking point from the Democrat National Committee to attack capitalists and capitalism. A friend of mine, guy here in Knoxville, Big Jim Haslam, billionaire, super generous guy, good guy. He tells me all the time, he said, Timmy, don't be afraid of capitalism. And he is exactly right.
That's right.
Because that's it, capitalism outside, and I'm a Christian, I try to be one anyway, but outside of Christianity, capitalism has taken more people out of despair in this country. And, you know, our State Department, although they've been promoting drag shows and LGBTQ agenda all over the world with your tax dollars, they should have been promoting the two greatest things this country does, democracy and capitalism.
And they have the nerve to sit here and be upset with conservatives and Elon and Trump about what they're doing, demonizing everyone, making everyone seem like they're terrible people and like Elon is the devil when he's obviously here to help us all. But they'll go on the news and they'll go all over the place and make it seem like he is the worst guy ever. Check this out.
Congressman Mike Howardopoulos sits on the House Financial Services Committee, and he joins me now. Congressman, good morning to you. So, as you just saw, Democrats were out in full force on the Sunday shows yesterday, and you heard Congressman Vindman at the end there saying that that Elon Musk and DOGE are causing a reign of terror across the federal government, which is intended to sound scary. But I think if you ask the DOGE team, they would say, yeah, that is exactly what we're trying to do to claw back some of this taxpayer money. So how do you feel about the arguments that were made there?
Well, they're nonsensical. People work very hard to pay their taxes every single day. They're hurting. They're paying 20, 30% more for rent, gasoline, food, and they see wasteful government spending. We need to have government in the sunshine. We need to have spending in the sunshine. People deserve to know where their hard-earned tax dollars are being spent. We do that in the state of Florida. We actually have a website that says this is how we spend your tax dollars. We need the exact same thing in Washington, D.C., because too many dollars are being wasted, not even in this country, but overseas on nonsensical issues and problems.
Yeah, you know, Congressman, a lot of what politicians say in the media can be a lot more reactionary than they really feel behind the scenes. So when you're talking to Democrats on Capitol Hill in the halls of Congress, do you think they really feel like we're in a constitutional crisis right now when it comes to cutting government waste? What are they really saying to you?
They're just upset that they lost the majority. They ran the government for 4 years into the ground, and now the American public has to pay for their mistakes. America deserves to have a government that really looks out for them, takes care of the basics well, protects our country, and makes sure that every tax dollar is spent in a smart way. Transparency is the way to do that. I'm really applaud the president for creating the DOGE and using a mastermind like Elon Musk, who understands computers and technology to root out this corruption. When we right-size the government, everybody wins. And spending time in with President Trump yesterday in Air Force One and at the race, he was absolutely focused on this issue, making sure we remove this wasteful spending, put it in the right place so we can reduce our deficit and debt and really get this country moving again. That's what he's focused on, and I'm proud to work with him every single day in Washington, D.C.
Now I want to know from you guys, do you think anybody is going to actually end up going to jail for all of this stuff? Because obviously the money is going somewhere and we don't know where it's going. I think it's going to take a long time for them to figure out where the money is actually going, because it's funding all kinds of crazy stuff, as we know. But who's controlling all of this? That's what I want to know. Like, man, who is the orchestrator behind all of this? Or is there just so much corruption that all these little projects and little things like that are just different people doing corruption? Are they not all connected, or are they all connected to one master orchestrator that is just funneling money and doing evil and nefarious things? That's where the questions come in at. Like, is there a department that was controlling all of these separate departments to launder money? What department is that? It's getting very, very complicated, but I guess they're just going to have to go through each one at a time. And then from there, they can maybe trace back to where it's all going and where it's all coming from. But we know that there's more money going out than coming in, and something is not right when there's 1.3 million people getting Social Security checks that aren't even alive. The number is staggeringly higher than that. That's just one bracket of people. So, I mean, how could it be that people going all the way up to ages 360 years old are getting checks? You've got to be kidding me. That money is going somewhere, and that is incredibly frustrating. They got to figure this out. And I hope that the people of the public actually get that information and that people do get held accountable for stealing our taxpayer dollars and buying yachts and doing whatever the heck else they're doing with it. But hopefully we can find out the truth. I will be on top of it, making sure I let you guys know everything that's going on. You guys don't forget to subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one. You're watching the Unexplained Outlook, and I'll see you guys next time.